a big, nice, beautiful piece.
Recording. And John, whenever you're ready.
Hey, well, everybody, welcome to Friday. I hope you all had a great day yesterday. Here in the US, it was Thanksgiving, so.
I can't.
Oops. John,
I can't. John, where is John?
Where's John?
John.
So now he will come back.
He will log back in. So in the meantime, we are already live in Facebook. Welcome again to all our friends here. We just give time for John to log back in. There are 88 of us in Zoom. Pablo.
Yes.
We are already live in Facebook streams, so you may want to say hi to all our friends while waiting.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello from Griñón, from Spain.
And there
Hello, Pablo from Brazil.
Hello, Pablo. Hello, Sonia.
Hola.
Hello.
Hello, Pablo.
Pablo.
Hello, Pablo. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hola, Pablo.
Hola, Pablo.
Hola a todos.
Hola, Pablo.
Buenas tardes.
Mucho gusto de verlo otra vez.
Desde el sur de Chile.
Encantado de saludaros a todos, de cada uno de un sitio de un rincón distinto del mundo. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you, everybody. Each one from one corner of the world.
Hey, Pablo, maybe since you're in the hot seat, you could sell us your paint set. Do you have your paint set? Do you have your
What?
the one that you're holding. Yeah, the one that you're holding, paint set, the master artist set.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to share that while we're waiting for John?
Okay, I'm
Or
back.
actually, we can skip this part first and we can proceed with the sharing of sample artworks.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will do a share screen now and Pablo will just briefly share or talk about each painting. I'm going to do a share screen now. Let's do this.
Saludos, Pablo.
Hello.
Es Alfonso.
Hola, Alfonso. Qué gusto escucharte.
Are you able to see this, Pablo?
Well,
On screen, right?
yes, I can see the work.
Okay. You may start
Yes.
now. You can share something
Yes.
about the piece. Go ahead.
Yes, this is a plein air work made, I think, 2 years ago in a plein air contest in the south of France, in the region of Béarn. So I think it's very interesting because it was the only place I found water and shadow at the same time. So I enjoy a lot this work. And it was awarded in that contest.
How about
Yes,
it?
also, this is one for me. One is very special one because it's the one of the work I selected for the front part of my set. So you can see in the left corner. And I chosen this work because it is not a common view of Venice. It's just a corner of Venice without gondolas and without people. And I found it very interesting to paint not the most usual part of Venice. Yes, this one of the subjects I used to paint the most are the paddles. Now is a good time for paddles. It's the autumn season, and when I find this kind of landscape, I always I try to capture and to paint. This also is a plein air work. Also from a contest in Spain, in the region of Guadalajara. It's a beautiful valley and with a perfect paddle with a lot of water and mud around the water.
Oops. There.
Yes. Yes. Also, most of the works I have shared with you are from plein air contests because during all the year I join in about 30, 40 contests, and this one is also from another plein air contest in next to my city. Is this is the south of Madrid, Leganés, and in this case. There are a lot of planes and a lot of resources to paint. Last year, I have included in my works the sunken stones, so you can see the background, the middle ground, and also you can see the foreground with a lot of transparency and many details. Well, another paddle, I have seen someone from Ciudad Real. Exactly, this view is, oops, the previous, thank you. This one is from a little town called Poblete, next to Ciudad Real capital in Spain. And I remember this also this contest because it was raining most part of the day, and I had to cover the watercolor and take back again, and it was very difficult to paint with rain, wind, and so this contest was in winter, and I remember because of it was very hard to paint this work.
Pablo, in the chat, people would like to know the size.
The size of the painting?
Yes.
Yes, most of these work are 1 meter by 1 meter. Are made in arches paper from a roll. This all in the Spanish plein air contest, we used to paint very big. So most of them 1 meter by 1 meter. This one is from a studio. This is not obviously plein air, and this work was awarded 3 years ago in the American Watercolor Society. It's one of my, for me, is one of my best works because of the range of colors. Most of the work is done with perilene violet and tallow blue shade. I'm using this combination of color recently, and it's one of my favorites. Oops. Well, yes.
Okay.
This one is from Pilar de la Horadada, is the Mediterranean Sea. For this one, I use it different parts of the sea to create this kind of atmosphere and this kind of view. This is not a real view. I combined the background with the tower, and in the foreground, I completed the landscape with the seascape with this part of waves and reflection and transparency. This also is from a plein air contest, but in this case, I painted it into the beach, not into the water. Also, a lot of tallow green blue shade is the main color to mix all the greens you can see in this work.
Pablo, how long does it take you to do these paintings?
All these kind of works, but the American Watercolor Society ones, about 4 or 5 hours, because we have a fixed time to complete the work in the plein air competition. So more or less, sometimes 4 hours, sometimes 5, but no more than 5 hours.
In a painting like this, what is the first thing that you would start painting?
Always the background. I respect all the time the different planes and the depth. So I start always with the sky, then the tower, and last part of the work is the water.
And do you have a favorite subject?
Yes, of course. For me, my favorite subject are the industrial subject. For example, cranes, planes, helicopters, submarines, even I have done, and also all kind of water subject. But I move between these two kind of subjects. I also paint a lot of urban escapes, but if I have to choose, I prefer industrial escapes. In 2 weeks, I will join here in Spain in a plein air competition in the Air Force Spanish Museum, and it's lovely because I can paint among a lot of vintage planes.
Do you use a limited palette when you're doing a competition like this piece?
Yes, I all the time I use more or less the same colors. Sometimes if I am painting a concrete atmosphere or mood, I add some color, but usually I have more or less 20 colors in my palette, and I have a limited, because with this color I have enough to complete, I think, any kind of landscape.
This beautiful watercolor, Pablo, is this made plein air, or
Yes.
are you standing in the water?
No, just it's plein air, but I mix it to two views.
Okay.
I painted the work in the shore, into the beach.
Yes, lovely.
Because
lovely.
because it is made next to the sea. I had a lot of humidity, and it was very easy to make blending and to make soft waves.
Great one.
Thank you very much.
Pablo, in the chat, someone asked if you use masking fluid.
No, never. I never use masking fluid. I don't have masking fluid in my studio. I prefer to add opaque painting on the last washes or last touches. But I don't like masking fluid because I think it's too sharp, and I prefer to add titanium white, for example, or the buff titanium, or any color mixed with white titanium to have highlights. This is one of my last works. This is the first prize of the Spanish Navy of this year. This is a studio work. It's a very big work. It's 1 meter 50 by 1 meter, and it's a studio work. It took me about, I think, 1 month to complete. And the composition is very studied. Everything is done step by step, little by little, because it's very complex work because of the size and because of the lot of elements we have in the seascape. And this work also I did this work I think 2 years ago, also for the same competition, but that year I didn't win. And also is very complete. It's a studio work, very big site, 1 meter 50 by 1 meter also. It's very difficult because of the movement of the waves, and also to make the integration of the helicopter in the same seascape, because the helicopter wasn't in that seascape. So I made the composition to make a real scene.
How do you make the helicopter look like a helicopter, like metal, versus the mountains to look like mountains and the water to look like water? They're different elements. One's metal, one's earth.
Yes.
How do you do that?
I think it's all about edges, and of course about colors. But I think the most important thing is the edge. For the water and for the background, soft edges, everything is blended, and the helicopter is completely sharp. But I don't know the name of this part of the helicopter in English, the hélices.
Propeller.
The pallet.
It says propeller. Okay, I think that's the last artwork.
Yes.
In the frame, and John is back in the room, so we will bring his camera back on spotlight. We will stop share now, and let's locate John's camera. There you are. I now see you, John. Welcome back.
Well, thank
I'm gonna add a
you.
spotlight. There you
Hello,
are.
John.
Hello, Pablo.
Hello.
My network went down. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, no problem.
So I wanted to introduce you. So
Thank you.
Pablo, I see Pablo all over the world. It's probably one of the best times that Catherine and I have. Pablo is from Spain. Pablo's a brand ambassador. You may not know that Pablo is a speed painter as well and wins competitions many times. So he's very, very quick. I've seen him in Italy, in Fabriano, along with Cesc, who is another painter, do paintings together. And they'll do very large paintings, and they use credit cards. And Pablo will show you some of his straight edges that he uses, and they are just phenomenal how good and how quick they are. So welcome, Pablo. Sorry I was cut off there, but welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Gabriel's asked quite a few questions. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and if you do your demo, that'd be fantastic. When we started this morning, Pablo said there's no issue whatsoever on Zoom if you ask him questions. Because he's an instructor and he teaches, he's used to a lot of questions. So go ahead and ask. And on the Facebook side, I'll be looking at what you're asking and convey those to Pablo. One question I just see over and over, Pablo, is people love your water. How do you create such realistic water?
I think because I have studied a lot the different kind of water. It's not the same puddle, lake, pond, river. So I have studied, I have trained a lot most of the time during my pleiner competitions. So I have been joining for 25 years in pleiner competition. So I think this is the only way to learn to dominate any kind of subject. So I have little by little I have making a more complicated water subject. So that's the reason I think I can paint any kind of movement and any kind of light or into the water.
Excellent. Okay, would you like to start?
Yes, of course, I'm ready.
Okay.
Pablo,
Please.
whenever you're ready, we just need your help to switch frame to your demo camera.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, first I'm going to explain you all my materials, okay? I want to work on arches paper, 300 grains, fine surface. These are my usual brushes, all from Skoda brand, Perla, Ultimo, Aquario. I don't use too much brushes, but all my brushes are from the same brand. Then I will explain you all the different hair of the brushes. And today I'm going to use only the 10 colors of my Daniel Smith set. I used to have a few more ones in my palette, for example, Perinen Violet and Buff Titanium for last touches and for some mixes. But most of the demonstration will be done with my colors. Okay, so I'm going to put fresh colors. These are new colors. The main color I'm going to use, transparent red oxide. It's like burnt sienna, but I like the transparency and the beautiful orange. Opera pink. This is my primary color. I use opera pink instead magenta or crimson because I like also the light, the powerful of this color. Hansa yellow medium. This is also another of my primary colors. Tallow green, blue shade. This is one of my essential colors because all my greens are made with this color. Mix it with the rest of the colors, but most of my greens are made with tallow green, blue shade. Is like my primary green. Cerulean blue, chromium, is another of my the third of my primary colors. I like this cerulean because it's very soft, because it's I think it's more real for mixed skies, for mixed water. So I use a lot this kind of color. Ultramarine blue, yes, French ultramarine blue. Lavender, I use a lot this color because it has titanium white in his composition, and I like the colors with titanium white, like Buff Titanium, like Wisteria. Sepia, I don't have black in my palette, but I can have a very dark color using sepia mixed with indigo. These are my darkest colors, indigo and sepia. So I have also pyrrole red. Okay, in this case, in this landscape, I won't use a lot of pyrrole red because it's a landscape and it's not a sunset sky, but this is my most favorite red. Well, I'm going to start with the drawing. The drawing is very easy in this case. This is my secret tool. This is just a rule to a tool to apply gesso on the walls, and I use it a lot for drawing, for straight lines. In this case, there are not too much straight lines because it's a natural landscape. But when I paint industrial scapes, or when I paint urban scapes for drawing buildings, skyscrapers, is perfect. Well, it's only a few lines to indicate where are the mountains, where are the the trees, and here I'm going to put another step of the shore, and here a big tree closing the composition. This landscape is from Spain, is in the south of Spain, is Andalusia, and the city, well, not the city, but the region is Andújar. Is in the more or less in the middle of Spain, but in the south part. It's the Jándula River. Well, it's enough. Here we have some floating leaves, floating things. In Spain, we call it verdín. I think it's very difficult to translate this name. Well, we have some rocks, and also we have some sunken rocks. And here we have the reflection of the trees and the rest of the elements. Well, that's enough. Very easy, very quick drawing. Well, I'm going to start with the sky. I'm going to use petit gris brush, natural hair in this case. It's an aquarium. Well, my palette, you can see, is very dirty. I used to have my palette very dirty because I can break the colors with just a little hint of the leftover of the last session. So I'm going to use these dirty colors. There is like a gray, like a very soft brown, and I'm going to add a little bit of pyrrole red to have a soft pink. Okay, so with this color, I don't have white on my paper, and I know where part is wet and what part is dry. So I'm wetting with the petit gris brush the sky, only the sky, to keep the humidity on the top of my paper. Well, while my paper is still wet, damp, I'm going to mix lavender to have a thick mix. I can use a lot of lavender without having a dark color. That's the reason I use a lot this color. So lavender with a little bit of cerulean blue chromium is enough to have a beautiful blue and very real blue. This blue is I used to keep all the time the atmosphere and the real colors of every place and every subject. So that's the reason I try to find always real colors, not too strong, not too artificial. So I'm going to paint the sky. I'm going to leave some whites to have some clouds. The paper is still damp. So randomly, I am painting some clouds. And also I'm going to paint some blue next to the mountains. To have more sky, more blue sky. This is very loose, very soft. Well, I'm going to repeat the same process into the water. I'm going to wet with the same mix, with a little bit of pyrrole red and a little bit of some leftover of the palette. With this color, I have a kind of pink gray. I'm wetting everything. So I'm going to start with the reflection of the blue of the sky, same color, lavender, and a little bit of cerulean blue to have more or less the same color I have on the sky. And I'm going to repeat. I'm going to make the cloud. I'm going to leave the white spaces of the clouds. We don't see the top of the sky, so it doesn't matter what I paint here. As soon as I am going to the foreground, I'm going to dark the colors to have more depth. So this color is very light, and now I'm going to start mixing another colors to the blue. Same mix, cerulean blue with a little bit of lavender, in this case more cerulean than lavender to make the color darker. And I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue, French ultramarine blue here. In the original picture, there is a big cloud into the water. I prefer to have it darker. Well, to the same mix, I'm going to add a little bit of transparent red oxide. Transparent red oxide with cerulean blue and a little bit of French ultramarine. Now I have a darker color and also a broken color. It's not this is not a pure blue. I'm going to add more transparent red oxide to make it darker. And then the bottom of the river is going to be darker. I'm going to make another mix. Again, transparent red oxide with cerulean blue. And now I'm using my flat brush to cover more space. And leaving some different colors, not all the same is the same color. I'm going to blend because the paper is still damp. So I'm going to blend a little bit. Well,
Pablo, may we ask what kind of paper you're using?
I'm using artist paper, 300 grams, fine surface. Well, while this is still damp, I'm going to make a new mix with sepia, lavender, and cerulean blue. I'm making a dark gray. Is not a black color because I am using lavender to make it a bit paler. And with this mix, I'm going to paint some lines that are the edges of the stones, the sunken stones, because my paper is still damp. I can blend everything, and now I have soft edges. Randomly, some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. This is just a previous wash. Then when it is completely dried, I will finish. Soft edges. To make the feeling of sunken rocks. I'm going to make also a bit of splattering. I'm going to cover the top to avoid the little dots go into the sky. So some splattering to make a texture into the stones, the rocks. Well, I'm going to let it dry completely, and I'm going to come back to the background. I'm going to start painting the background. To paint the background, I'm going to use cerulean blue. All the time I'm making the mixes of the same part of the palette. So I don't mind if the color is a bit gray. I'm going to use a little bit of tallow green to make a bit green, and a little bit of opera pink. Opera pink is the opposite, or it's very next to the opposite color of the tallow green, so I can make a beautiful gray with this color. Well, the background is completely dry now, so I can start with a very light wash, very transparent, and I can start painting these mountains. I'm going to add a little bit of cadmium yellow and a little bit of pyrrole red to make an orange. I also have in my palette pyrrole orange, but in this case, I'm going to use only the 10 colors of my Daniel Smith set. To show you that only with these 10 colors I can paint almost everything. Well, it is very light wash, different colors at the background, very soft. I'm going to put my rule to have a straight line. Here we have another step. Well, while the paper is still damp, I'm going to make another mix. Lavender, cerulean blue, a little bit of tallow green, and I'm going to, while it's wet, I'm going to put some small dots to have the feeling of forest, of trees far away, wherever, while everything is wet. I'm going to make a darker color with the same mix. I'm going to use tallow green, sepia, and a little bit of lavender. You don't see the lavender in this area, but it helps me a lot to make a thick concentration of pigment. and also to soften the color. Well,
Pablo, what size is your perla?
it's number 12, perla number 12, because of the size of this paper. I'm working in 31 by 41 to fit the camera screen. Well, I am advancing. I'm going to paint now all the trees that are closer. I'm going to make a new mix. These trees are dark and but not too bright. So I'm going to mix sepia with tallow green blue shade to have a very beautiful dark warm green. So this color is perfect. I'm working with the side of going to spray a little bit to have broken edges. So I'm going to leave some white spaces in between the trees to have highlights of the clouds, of the sky. Well, as soon as I am going closer, I mix a darker color. I'm going to mix now a little bit of indigo to the same mix, tallow green blue shade with sepia and a little bit of indigo to make the color darker to this part of the trees. Well, with the same mix, I'm going to draw some trunks. Not too much, just a few. Okay. And also white ones with my my hotel card with a corner to have some highlights. Well, it's enough. I'm going to finish the trees. I'm going to do the same mix. I'm going to add a little bit of Hansa yellow medium and a little bit of transparent red oxide to make a warmer green. Now I have different greens here, and at the foreground, the greens should be warmer. So I'm going to close this area with the warmest values, warmest colors.
Pablo, how many paintings do you do in a year?
Excuse me?
How many paintings do you do in a year?
How many contests?
How many paintings do you finish?
Painting. Oh, yes, sorry, paintings. Well, last week it was a question from one of my students, and I counted and more or less about 250 with my usual plein air contest, with my my demonstration to my online student, and last years I am illustrating travel books of Anaya touring publisher, and I have to paint 100 watercolors for each book. So I did 100 for Lisbon, 100 for Florence, and I am working in a third one. So 250 each year, more or less. Is this year I haven't finished it. I still have a plener contest. Tomorrow I will join in another plener contest here in Spain. Well, I have finished more or less this area. I'm going to scratch again to have some white trunks here. As the paper is drying, I am able to make different things and to make different textures. Well, I'm going to start with the reflection because everything now has completely dried. I'm going to start with the reflection of the mountains. For this, I'm going to change my brush again.
Pablo, you're so fast. Those trees are so amazing. What did you use? A switchblade or a blade for the scratching? Oh,
This is a hotel card.
Oh, a card. Nice.
I don't use to return the card when I go to the hotel. I keep the card for me because it's perfect to scratch.
Pablo, what is the name of your straight edge that you're using?
What's the name?
The name of the straight edge.
This is Mi Arco.
A secret tool.
This one? Do you?
No, the tool, the big tool.
The
for
big
straight
tool.
edge?
This one?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know exactly the name, but it's very useful. It's very easy to find in a hardware store because it's to apply gesso on the walls.
Okay.
It's not an art.
It looks like a plastering tool.
Yes, yes. To apply gesso, to apply wherever, but it's
Plaster.
you can find it in an art supplies store. Well, I'm going to start with the reflection. Now I need a transparent mix. I'm going to use transparent red oxide, cerulean blue, and a little bit of Pirol red to break the color, to have a broken color. I'm going to make the reflection of the mountains. I'm going to add also a little bit of opera pink and more cerulean. I'm making a kind of gray. I'm using now Kolinsky hair brush. It's a Reserva, also from Skoda. This brush is softer than Perla, and with this brush I can paint longer lines and longer reflection. I'm going to break the reflection here when I am reflecting the mountain, the edge of the mountain. Here we have the reflection of the shore, and then I have the reflection of the trees. I'm going to make another new mix. I'm going to add some tallow green to this mix. I'm going to wet a little bit to break the edges.
Is that a number 8?
The Skoda no is number 10.
10.
Number 10, Reserva. But this one is a travel brush. It's not, because it's the one I used to have in my in my small case. All my usual palettes and paints are in my car, ready for tomorrow, to travel tomorrow. So this is my small stuff for classes. More sepia and more or less the same colors I use it for the top of the trees.
Pablo, what type of palette are you using to mix? I like your palette.
My palette is a petite palette. It's a very expensive palette. It's made of brass. Yeah, you can see. It's designed by me. All the holes, all the spaces.
Nice.
So this is perfect for small plein sketches and for travel, and in my case also for my online classes, because it fits perfectly the screen and the paper. So it's made of brass. The best palettes I think are made of brass because they are very strong. The mix runs perfectly in the palette, and it is impossible to have oxidation. I mixed a little bit of cadmium Hansa yellow medium here. I'm going to check for the small touches. I'm going to use the perla just for the small broken edges of the reflection, to have the feeling of reflection. Well, while everything is still wet, I'm going to paint some vertical reflection with tallow green, sepia. I'm going to use again lavender. To have a thick mix, and I'm going to put some vertical reflection. This is the moment when the cauliflowers appears in some of my students' works. Well, some vertical reflection to create the feeling of more water. Here in the water now I have 1, 2, 3 washes at the same time. I'm going to make the reflection of the shore. Well, now this is dry. I'm going to put some darks to have more volume into the trees. I'm going to put also I'm going to use sepia, a little bit of cadmium Hansa yellow medium, and P-roll red. I'm making a warm gray with these colors to have some stains, some texture here into the shore of the river. Well, I'm going to put another wash here to the foreground. I'm going to re-wet only with spray to connect these two parts. I'm going to connect the reflection of the sky and the stones. So I'm going to put a very soft wash. With this wash, I will make the stone more sunken. I'm going to put some Hansa yellow So I have everything softer. I'm going to increase just a few touches in the, again, to make the some darks here, some here. Again with cerulean blue chromium and a little bit of sepia. Everything is blended. So I have created the feeling of depth into the water, because the water is very transparent. This is a natural park in Andalusia. Yeah, one of the only places that you can find the Spanish lince, the lince ibérico. Well, I'm going to put only the last details to this part, while the rest of the paper is drying. I'm going to put directly with sepia and a little bit of French ultramarine. I'm making a darker brown. To have some small details, small darks, small details. Well, now everything is dry here. I'm going to put some rocks outside the water. Here, you can see the rocks. It helps a lot to make a contrast against the light of the water. This is a river, so the right shore of the river is about here, around here. Sorry. So that's the reason I am painting some rocks here. Outside the water. I'm going to scratch a little bit to have some texture, some highlights. While this area is drying, I'm going to make a mix for some shadows. I'm going to mix opera pink with cerulean blue chromium to have a kind of lilac, a kind of purple. I'm going to put here some shadows, and more transparent, some shadows here. Now on dry. Well, I'm going to make a mix with titanium white. Yeah, I never put my titanium white on my palette to avoid all my colors are contaminated. So I'm going to put outside my palette the titanium white. Sorry. Here. And I'm going to make a mix to have this this light yellow green of the leaves of the things that are floating on the surface of the water. So I'm going to use Hansa yellow medium with titanium white, mix it here, and a little bit of tallow green. That's the reason I don't use masking fluid, because I prefer to paint everything with opaque painting. So I'm going to put these fine floating things. I'm using again my rule to have straight lines. And to have the feeling of a surface, this is completely different from the water. This is opaque. The water is transparent. So with this technique, I have the different textures of each element. This is completely opaque. Why not? I know most of the purists don't like this technique, but Sargent, Thorne, Turner, Sorolla, Fortuny, they use it, opaque painting, in their works. Not too much. I'm going to put some small touches to have the feeling of floating grassy, floating. I don't know the name. In Spanish is verdín. Even in Spanish it's a difficult name. It's a very strange name. So maybe any of you can translate to.
Are you thinking algae?
Yes, more. It's like algae, but not as exactly, because it's always on sweet water, not on salt water. Well, I'm going to put this area has completely dried, so I can paint more small things. It helps a lot to have the feeling of depth. Now this is on the water and the rocks are under the water, because the rocks are made on damp paper, and all the edges are completely soft. Scum. I have seen somebody scum.
J. Carlo.
Thank you. Well, some dark ones on the light parts. I'm using all the leftover of my palette. This is this is my usual way of work, because I don't work with pure colors.
Pablo, can you tell everybody about your workshop so they know, maybe how to learn more from you?
Yes, at the moment I have all my workshop cancelled because of coronavirus. The only one at the moment I have scheduled is next year in Lille's Hall at IWM exhibition. So at the moment that's the only one, because even in Spain I am not giving workshop because it's not easy. you can schedule a workshop and then everything is, there are more infected cases and you have to cancel and you have to reschedule. So that's the reason I don't have too much. I have online classes and at the moment in Spanish. And next year I will have also an online workshop with Terracotta, with the USA company. I'm going to start working with them. And you have the workshop, it will be in February. And the workshop is already scheduled in his website. So Terracotta is very easy, Terracotta workshops. And this is the first one I will give next year online and in only completely in English. I have regular classes, but in Spanish only at the moment. Well, I'm going to put some small details to make the leaves floating. I'm going to put a very fine line under to reinforce the feeling of volume.
Pablo, I was just curious, how damp is that area right now of the paper?
How
wet is your
No,
paper?
it's dry. Now it's completely dry. It's everything now is dry. Now I'm working. I'm applying last touches, and everything is dry. I'm doing on dry paper. And I'm going to add just a few details because this is just a fast demo. I'm going to put some small highlights with titanium white and pearl red to have a soft pink. I'm going to put some small lines, for example, some more highlight at the trunks.
So, Pablo, some people are leaving. I just want to let them know that Pablo will post his final painting online as we normally do, so you can actually see it online.
Yes,
which would be fantastic. Pablo, it's amazing how fast you paint, and it's absolutely beautiful.
I'm going to take off the masking tape so you can see the final.
Beautiful.
Final work without the blue tape. So
fantastic.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you, Pablo, for joining us today. You truly are a master. Beautiful work. Does anybody have any quick questions for Pablo before we leave?
Yes.
I expect some people painting along.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Espero tarjetas de Navidad.
Ah, sí, por supuesto, Alfonso. Me alegro mucho verte. Alfonso is a very great friend. I have been twice in North Vancouver in his home, and I hope I can come back soon to enjoy with him.
Pablo, we have over.
Thank you, Pablo.
Pablo, we have over 100 just now. I think at one point we reached 150 in Zoom guests, number of guests.
Yes, I have seen.
62 in Facebook.
Very wonderful. It's amazing. More than 200 people.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great.
Enhorabuena, Tocayo, y enhorabuena a quien te ha llevado ahí.
Muchas gracias, Pablo. También un placer verte por aquí también. Gracias por estar aquí.
Muchísimas gracias, Pablo. Maravillosa tu demostración.
Hasta luego, Pablo. Gracias, hasta luego.
Enhorabuena, Pablo. Qué
Hasta
máquina.
luego.
Te ha quedado genial.
Ha estado muy bien, Pablo.
Muchas gracias.
Oh,
Beautiful
maravilloso
work,
el trabajo,
Nos vemos el miércoles.
espectacular. Muchas gracias.
Estupendo,
Pablo,
maestro.
can you hold the painting up?
Yes, of course. This is the, maybe
Precioso.
here, fíjate.
¿Qué
Very
tamaño
nice,
de papel,
Pablo.
Pablo?
Oh, espectacular.
¿Qué tamaño de papel?
31 por 41, es el blog de artes.
Siempre queda así en clase también.
Sí, sí, sí.
Oh, nice.
Muy bien.
Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you very
Muchas
much.
gracias.
Thank you,
beautiful.
Pablo. Thanks
Thank
everybody
you.
for joining
Beautiful.
today.
Amazing. Bye.
Great.
Maravilloso.